All right, time for our second video here. We're now going to PDS our way to perfect toast. So we're going to step through a PDSA cycle as if our concern was getting the perfect toast here and give you examples of how this process works. So first step, plan. So we need to start planning. We want perfect toast. So we need to create our measurables. How do you define perfect toast? This is oftentimes a tough thing to do. We need to quantify things. We need to give it something measurable. How do you quantify perfect toast? Well, we can use some sort of color scale. So let's say that we want our toast to come out as a 4. So we're going to write that problem statement. And our current state is that our last piece of toast was made at a 9. So that's way too dark for our taste. And then we would like to have our toast at a 4. Okay, so this gives us a pretty good problem statement. We're not blaming anyone. We haven't solved anything. We defined everything as current and future state. So although fairly simple, this problem statement works. Then we're going to do our root cause analysis. So let's step through how to do that. So we're going to start with our Ishikawa fishbone diagram. We talked about this in the last video. We're going to step through how this works. So we desire our toast at a 4 rather than a 9. All right, so this defines our problem statement. So now we're going to go through each of our 6 M's here and determine which factors could be affecting our toast. So measurement, there's no markings on our toast scale. So maybe we have just a turn knob that doesn't relate to anything, or it gives us a scale of 1 to 10, and that doesn't seem to relate to anything else. Right? How dark is 10? How dark is 3? We don't know, right? So that's pretty obscure at this point. Next, our material. So what material are we using in our toast? Our toaster, are we using bread? Are we using a bagel? Are we using an English muffin? Right? Are we using 12-grain whole wheat bread? Are we using the whitest of white breads? Right? All of that stuff makes a difference here. Our machine. Again, so this could be measurement, this could be machine. This toaster has numbers versus a pictogram of how dark the toast is. Maybe this toaster is in our apartment and it's not the same toaster that we're used to at home. At home, I know I get a perfect toast setting at 5, and here 5 is way too dark, right? We don't know how that relates to anything. Manpower, maybe this is our roommate wanted the toast darker last time they used it, right? So we have differences in operators. We don't have any procedures, right? Maybe we didn't check our settings before we pushed down the bread, right? So that's our method. We are not checking our settings. And then Mother Nature. So maybe the bread came out of the freezer. Maybe that bread is already dried out and stale before we toast it, right? All of those things can affect our final outcome. All right, next we're going to step through a 5 why or a root cause analysis, sometimes called an RCA. Okay, root cause analysis. So first we define what is the issue. We have rejected the toast. Why did we reject the toast, right? So 5 whys, you ask why 5 times, or you ask why like you are 5 years old, right? So why was the toast rejected? It was too dark. Why was it too dark? Because the toast was down too long. Why was the toast down too long? Because the setting was incorrect. Why was the setting incorrect? And this, we've got 3 different possibilities here, right? So the roommates want their toast darker. The last person who used the toaster had a bagel. And we don't know what setting to use. So we need to talk about what is a causal versus a contributing factor. So if we eliminate causal factors, we will eliminate or greatly reduce the issues, right? If we eliminate contributing factors, there might be a reduction, but the chance for elimination is very unlikely, okay? So maybe we choose to also address contributing factors, but we definitely want to address all the causal factors. And there's some judgment here. So, okay, so the roommate likes their toast darker. We can't affect that, right? That contributes, but there's not really a good way to affect that, right? We can't change our roommate's taste for toast, okay? Can we control what the last person used if they had an English muffin or a bagel? No. But what we can affect, right? So those two would be contributing factors. What we can affect is knowing which setting to use. All right, why didn't we know what setting to use? There is no toast standard, okay? So our plan. So we have a current state where our setting is all the way up. You can see on our knob on our right here. And we've determined the future state is we want to toast, we desire a toast on a setting of 4 based on our color scale. So our action plan is, we look here and conveniently this toaster has 9 settings, right? And it was turned all the way up. So a good first step, a good action plan is to adjust the setting to 4/9 of the scale, okay? So that's our plan. We're going to adjust to 4/9 of the scale and we're going to make toast. So then we get to the do step. We're going to implement our plan of adjusting to 4/9 of the scale. There we go. We turn it down to 4/9 and we're going to evaluate our results. So again, we're going to look for those KPIs, key performance indicators or key performance indices, metrics, measurables, whatever your term is for them. We're going to look for our second order effects, okay? So first, let's talk about evaluating our results. So we wound up with a picture below, okay? That's a little bit lighter than 4, right? That's somewhere around 3, right? So we're not quite happy yet. We want to adjust it a little bit up, it looks like, right? But that's not where we're at yet. So we look for second order effects. So what are the second order effects? Well, the second order effects in this case could be that now our roommates are unhappy because we're adjusting the knob. Maybe they've always left it there. Well, there's things we can do to address those second order effects. We could label it, right? And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But first, let's look for our first order effects. So our first order effects is we're closer. We're pretty happy, right? We would eat this one. We would not eat 9. We're shooting for 4. We're a little bit lighter than 4. So we're close, right? So then we get to act and adjust. If the toast is correct, we codify those changes. We create SOPs. We make those permanent. If it isn't correct, we make changes. So this is correct. So we're going to put into place some standard operating procedures, some SOPs. And we're going to put our settings there. Brad's toast, okay? So we could put labels for everyone's toast. There's different ways of doing this, right? You could use a label maker. I love my label maker. It gets a lot of use, right? We could do things like, this is where Brad wants his bagel, right? The other roommates, maybe that they want theirs on 9, right? Whatever it is, okay? So this is how we freeze those changes. If you remember Kurt Lewin's change methods, right? So we're freezing these changes. And that's all PDCA or PDSA is. The other term I want you to be familiar with in this is DMAIC, define, measure, analyze, improve, control. All of these are probably your 4 most common ones. PDCA, PDSA are exactly the same thing as far as we're concerned. DMAIC does the same thing, it just has more steps. DMAIC is used in the Six Sigma methodology. A3 is also common. I know that Train Company is using A3s, or was the last time I communicated with them. So you will probably see A3s. They all come from PDCA or PDSA, okay? There's the 8D methodology, sometimes also called PSP. Again, it's the same thing. It all comes from PDCA. All right, that's it for this one. Have a great day.